The United Kingdom, a small island nation that once ruled a quarter of the globe. Today it doesn't have an empire, but it does have something else. A military machine so integrated, so advanced, and so strategically positioned that defeating it in modern times would be nothing short of impossible. Not difficult, not costly, impossible. Because here's the thing, you don't have to be the biggest to be unbeatable. You just need to be untouchable where it matters most. And Britain has mastered that art. From nuclear submarines prowling silently beneath the seas, to an air force that can strike anywhere on Earth within hours, and alliances that would drag half the planet into war if Britain were attacked. The UK isn't just a country, it's a fortress. A fortress wrapped in stealth bombers, destroyers, and 200 nuclear warheads. So, let's pull back the curtain and see why, in the 21st century, the UK cannot be defeated. Britain has always punched above its weight. In World War II, it stood alone against Nazi Germany, held the line, and eventually led the charge back into Europe. In the Cold War, the UK was America's closest ally, housing nuclear missiles aimed squarely at Moscow. Today, the island's geography is still its greatest shield. Surrounded by water, Britain is naturally hard to invade. Napoleon failed, Hitler failed, the Spanish Armada was sent packing by storms and gunpowder, and anyone foolish enough to try in modern times would run into a nightmare of destroyers, submarines, fighter jets, and NATO's collective firepower. That's the key here. Britain is not a solitary target. Thanks to NATO's Article 5, an attack on the UK is an attack on 31 countries, including the United States. You don't just fight Britain, you fight the world's most powerful military alliance, which honestly makes an invasion plan sound less like a strategy and more like a suicide note. Let's start with the crown jewel, the Royal Navy. Despite being smaller than its World War II counterpart, it is one of the most advanced fleets on the planet. The UK operates two of the largest and most advanced aircraft carriers outside the United States, HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales. Each can deploy dozens of F-35B stealth fighters, giving Britain the ability to project power across the globe. These ships aren't just floating runways, they're mobile fortresses, able to deliver airstrikes, humanitarian aid, or a polite reminder to any adversary that Britain still rules the waves. And then there are the Type 45 destroyers, some of the most advanced air defense ships in existence. They can track hundreds of targets at once, intercept incoming ballistic missiles, and protect carrier strike groups like bodyguards at a rock concert. Add the new Type 26 frigates under construction and you've got a navy that's lean, but lethal. But the real trump card? The UK's nuclear submarines. 4 Vanguard-class boats carry Trident 2D 5 ballistic missiles, each missile capable of carrying multiple nuclear warheads, with ranges of over 7,000 miles. At least one submarine is always on patrol, somewhere deep in the ocean, completely undetectable. This is called continuous at-sea deterrence, and it guarantees that no enemy could ever hope to wipe out Britain in a first strike. Because even if London were reduced to ashes, a Vanguard submarine could fire back and obliterate entire continents. That's not just defense. That's the definition of untouchable. And soon, these will be replaced with the Dreadnought-class submarines, ensuring Britain's nuclear deterrent remains ironclad well into the 2080s. Basically, if humanity still exists by then, Britain's subs will still be gliding silently under the waves, armed to the teeth. If the Navy makes Britain untouchable at sea, then the Royal Air Force makes it untouchable in the sky. And the RAF isn't just a collection of fast planes and cool call signs. It's a force built to dominate modern air warfare. At the sharp end are the F-35B Lightning IIs, 5th-generation stealth fighters that are basically flying supercomputers with missiles attached. They don't just fly and fight, they see everything. They share data with ground forces, and they can slip into hostile airspace almost unnoticed. Think of them as spies, assassins, and fighter aces, all rolled into one jet. When they're not based on land, you'll often find them roaring off the decks of Britain's aircraft carriers, giving the UK global strike reach. Then there's the Eurofighter Typhoon, sleek, fast, and designed to excel at both dogfighting and ground attack. It's the workhorse of the RAF. With a mix of Typhoons and F-35s, Britain fields a 2-layered air force, one built for raw air superiority, the other for stealthy high-tech operations. It's like having both Mike Tyson and James Bond on speed dial. But there's more to air power than just fighters. The RAF also has serious strategic airlift capability. Planes like the C-17 Globemaster III and the A-400M Atlas can transport tanks, troops, and supplies across the world at short notice. When Britain says it can deploy forces anywhere on Earth, that's not just a brag. Those massive cargo planes are the reason why, whether it's disaster relief in the Caribbean or a rapid response mission in Eastern Europe, Britain shows up on time. And we can't forget about drones. Britain has invested in Protector RG Mark I UAVs, advanced remotely piloted aircraft that can loiter over battlefields for hours, carrying out reconnaissance or precision strikes. In modern warfare, where information is everything, drones are the ultimate eyes in the sky. Then, looking to the future, there's the Tempest program, Britain's ambitious sixth-generation fighter jet, being developed alongside Italy and Japan. With plans for AI co-pilots, drone swarming, and futuristic weapons, Tempest is designed to keep Britain at the cutting edge of aerial dominance through the mid-21st century. It's not science fiction, it's science fact, and the UK is betting big on it. The message is simple. In the air, Britain has the stealth, the speed, and the reach to hit enemies before they even know what's coming. And if that doesn't sound unbeatable, remember, all of this ties directly into NATO's wider air power, meaning anyone who threatens the UK won't just see Typhoons and F-35s overhead, they'll probably see American B-52s and French Rafales too. Now, let's talk about the Army, the branch that usually gets the most criticism. After all, the British Army today is at its smallest size since the Napoleonic Wars, with around 73,000 regular soldiers. For context, that's less than the number of people who can cram into Wembley Stadium on match day. So naturally, critics love to say, how could Britain possibly fight a big war with numbers like that? But here's the twist. The Army doesn't need to be massive to be dangerous. Instead, it is focused on becoming highly professional, highly mobile, and packed with cutting-edge technology. First up, Britain's heavy hitters, the Challenger 3 main battle tanks. Currently being upgraded from the Challenger 2, these beasts will carry the latest firepower, armor, and targeting systems, ensuring that if a British tank rolls onto the battlefield, it will dominate. And while the Army may not have thousands of tanks like Russia, it doesn't need to. Each Challenger 3 is designed to fight smarter, not just harder. Then there's the Ajax Armored Vehicle Program, designed to provide fast, mobile reconnaissance with advanced sensors and communications. These vehicles are essentially high-tech scouts, feeding the Army live data so commanders always know what's happening miles ahead of their lines. But the most interesting part of the modern British Army isn't the heavy armor, it's the strike brigades. These new formations are designed to be rapid response forces, lighter, faster, and equipped with a mix of armored vehicles, artillery, and drones. The idea is that Britain doesn't need to field a massive Cold War-style army. Instead, it can deploy smaller, smarter units that move quickly and hit hard. In the wars of the 21st century, where speed and precision matter more than sheer numbers, that's a game changer. And let's not forget experience. British troops are among the most battle-tested in NATO. From the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan, they've spent the last 20 years learning how to fight modern wars against insurgents, terrorists, and conventional foes alike. That kind of real-world combat experience can't be manufactured overnight, and it makes the British Army far more lethal than its size suggests. Then there's the elite, the Parachute Regiment, the Royal Marines Commandos, and of course, the legendary Special Air Service, SAS. These units aren't just highly trained, they're iconic. The SAS in particular has become the gold standard for special forces worldwide, often copied, but never matched. Their motto, "Who dares wins," isn't just a slogan, it's a way of life. So yes, the British Army is smaller than it used to be, but it's also sharper, more agile, and backed up by cutting-edge gear, drones, satellites, and intelligence. In short, it's a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. And when you combine that with the Navy and the Air Force, it becomes clear Britain isn't trying to fight like it's 1945 anymore. It's building an army for the wars of tomorrow. If the 20th century was about tanks, planes, and battleships, the 21st century is about something less visible but far more dangerous: information. And this is where Britain quietly becomes terrifying. Meet the National Cyber Force, a joint operation between the Ministry of Defense and GCHQ, Britain's legendary intelligence agency. Its job isn't just to protect the UK from hackers, it's to launch offensive cyber attacks against hostile states. In plain English, Britain can shut down your internet, scramble your military comms, and fry your infrastructure before you even know you're at war. Imagine you're trying to invade. Your tanks are rolling forward, your planes are fueling up, and suddenly your GPS shows you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. That's not a glitch. That's cyber warfare, British style. And speaking of GCHQ, it's not just any spy agency. It's one of the most advanced signals intelligence organizations in the world, rivaled only by the NSA in the United States. From intercepting enemy communications to monitoring global internet traffic, GCHQ gives Britain a strategic edge in every conflict. Enemies don't just have to worry about bombs and bullets. They have to worry about Britain knowing their secrets before they even press send. Then there's the Five Eyes Alliance, an intelligence sharing pact between the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Together, they form the most powerful spy network on the planet. If one of them learns something, all of them learn it. That means any country planning to mess with Britain isn't just up against MI6 and GCHQ. They're up against the combined intelligence might of 5 nations spanning 5 continents. Good luck keeping your invasion a surprise when Britain already knows what you had for breakfast. And we haven't even mentioned Britain's special forces in this shadow war. The SAS and SBS, Special Boat Service, aren't just elite soldiers. They're ghost operators. Need a terrorist leader captured in the dead of night? SAS. Need a ship boarded quietly in hostile waters? SBS. They've done it all, from counter-terrorism raids in London to operations in the Middle East. And thanks to Britain's intelligence dominance, these forces usually strike with surgical precision, vanishing before the enemy even knows they were there. In the 21st century, wars aren't won just with tanks and planes. They're won with information, disruption, and precision. And Britain, with its cyber warriors, spies, and special forces, has turned the shadow war into an art form. So, can Britain be defeated today? The answer is simple: no. Not by invasion, not by attrition, not by conventional force. At worst, an enemy could cause disruption. But total defeat, the conquest or collapse of Britain, is not on the table. Because the UK isn't just a country, it's a fortress. A fortress with stealth jets, nuclear submarines, cyber warriors, and an army of allies. A nation that doesn't just defend itself, it projects power across the globe. And history has already taught the world one painful lesson. Underestimating Britain is one of the costliest mistakes you can make.